Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for episode 8 of Fire Force or Enen no Shobutai, and holy shit, this was good. It was so fucked up and amazing. It was brilliant. It was horribly brilliant, and I just said the F word in the first 30 seconds. It was probably getting demonetized, but whatever. It was so good. It was so good. It was probably the best episode so far. In just this horrible, dark, terrible way. It was so good. But Kareem and Rekka are both such good characters. They're so interesting and different. I love them both. The plot moved forward so much. I love the introduction of the pilot light bugs and getting more deep into the lore behind this world. It's so good. I love that. And honestly, the way that the pilot lights are used in the ones that don't become infernals makes me wonder if this is how fire soldiers are made. Because we know that infernals are happening, but we don't know the origin behind people controlling fire. So the ones who don't become infernals from the pilot lights seem to be probably how fire soldiers are made, and it would sort of make sense that that's why Rekka was going around doing this, not to create infernals or anything, because he was just killing the infernals afterward, but rather to create more fire soldiers. Now, another thing is Tamaki is still trash. Tamaki is still a really bad character, but I almost cared about her, and I think that shows just how amazing the production is. The editing and direction was so great. They did such a great job with the episode that even Tamaki being a trash character, I still almost cared about her. But really, it's one of those situations where somebody else I saw somebody else bringing it up, and I was like, oh, they are totally right. Where this whole time, and it was after my first time watching, so when I went back watching my second time, I paid attention. I was like, I'll see if those people are wrong, if Tamaki's really this bad. But yeah, going back through and watching it the second time, Tamaki doesn't once care about that these kids are getting potentially killed and turned into infernals or made into fire soldiers, I guess. She doesn't really care about these kids at all, and she doesn't say anything like she feels like she betrayed those kids for being the one that brought him here. The only reason that she's so upset is because Rekka isn't the person that she thought he was. She even says multiple times when she's like crying and stuff that like the reason she is mad is because he isn't who she thought he was. The reason she's mad is because he has disappointed her or broken her illusion of him. Not because he's hurting those kids, or because she cares about the kids, and she doesn't ever try to protect the kids or anything. Yeah, so Tamaki's kind of trash. She doesn't care about any of those kids. She just was sort of selfish with this. So yeah, screw that. But going through it part by part, with my notes I took watching my second time, we get introduced to the concept of the evangelist and their evangelism. And I love this. It was really, really cool. I'm excited for who these evangelists could be, if there's more than one, because it's just so dark and messed up, but makes so much sense. It's so cool. But either way, we have Hibana telling Obi and Hinawa that some of the infernals, the ones that were different, had insect DNA in their core, and that's sort of the ones that she could tell were different. So we learned from Shinra's monologue that Shinra and Arthur have a month to investigate. We have some funny scenes with Hinawa and Hibana there at the first, just walking around checking on him and everything. But it also had a dual purpose in that the two of them sort of realized that if this happened at the fifth wouldn't just be walking around acting so nonchalantly with people from other divisions snooping around. But the first is just acting like it's business as usual. So, again, that's sort of weird. And finding out that Rekka is involved sort of makes me think that the reason they're acting so calm is that the first themselves don't really have anything to hide. They're not necessarily bad. Like I said last week, it would kind of almost be just too easy to make the first all bad guys. So it's very interesting that this could just be Rekka and some side group off on their own that could have people from any places in society involved with them. Either way, next up we've got a scene with the sort of members that are there for the rookie exchange or whatever, and Tamaki has another one of her comedy bits, and I say comedy with the utmost of quotation marks around it. I get that the sort of Lucky Letcher stuff is supposed to be parodying and making fun of that sort of fan servicey comedy in anime, but parodying it and making fun of it doesn't make what they're doing with Tamaki's character any more funny or less annoying. So yeah, Tamaki's character in this stuff, it's just not funny, and it's kind of annoying. It really doesn't exactly fit the rest of the tone of the show very well either. But then, when they go off to take on Infernal and everything, this is the first time I remember seeing Shinra have infernal senses so far in the series. But he finds Rekka and Karim in the alleyway after chasing after whoever administered the insect to that person. So it sort of gets narrowed down to either of them as the culprit. So they get Juggernaut to distract Karim, and while he's distracting him, Shinra and Arthur are going to investigate his room. I love all the comedy bits here with Arthur's class change, and then after that his mini Excalibur was so good. All the editing and stuff for those scenes was really, really well done. So they investigate Karim's room and everything, and the scene is really, really great. I love the sort of lighting effect they did with the light shining through that sort of one beveled glass sort of candle holder thing that they had. It looked really, really, really good. But Karim catches them, and he uses sort of them to narrow down the culprits. He's like, okay, so you saw me and Rekka, so if you came after me, and I know that I'm not the culprit, then that only leaves one person the culprit could be. And he explains that he found the insect that he had in his drawer at a place where some children were burned sometime in the past. I think it was like 2 months or so. But then we see Tamaki luring in kids very sketchily. I love Karim's powers as he's like leaving his room and putting the picture down and everything starting to freeze. So cool. And I loved how fucked up Rekka is. He is just so messed up, and it's so cool because he's like an over-the-top parody of like predatory religious zealots. Like he's full on with this whole soul religion, trying to use the pilot light to turn people into fire soldiers, I would presume. And it's like, it's so dark, but the way that he acts like he's the one doing the good thing, that he's in the right here, that Tamaki's the bad one, and that she's sort of making this situation bad. And then him like sort of breaking his loud over the top character and getting serious for a minute and cracking Tamaki's back was just so like, oh man, that's such a visceral and cool scene. He was such a cool villain. But Karim, Arthur, and Shinra go to search for him. Tamaki, then we have yelling at him because she's mad that he isn't who she thought he was. Not that he's killing children, but either way. One of the best things in this is as Rekka's going on doing all this horrible evil stuff, he has these moments where he's just yelling at the sky. It's so good. But he says he's looking for somebody compatible with the pilot light. And this one kid, Takkun, doesn't become an infernal. And so he's compatible with the pilot light, assuming that makes him into a first-generation fire soldier or something, I would think. But yeah, so to me that makes me think that what the evangelists are trying to do is to make more fire soldiers. They're not trying to do infernals because Rekka killed the infernal lady anyway. They're trying to make more fire soldiers, which is again very, very interesting as a goal. And another thing I love with Rekka's character is the way that, again, he was just blaming Tamaki, like, why are you making all this noise? You're making this so much worse and everything. And it was just so evil and terrible. It was so good. He was a really well-written villain. Sort of just a again with this sort of whole abusive religious zealot guy trying to like put the blame on other people, like he is a very much why are you making me do this to you type of evil scumbag, and it was so well written and good. And then I love when Shinra comes in to kick his face into the ground. He looks like a devil coming in. So good. Whenever Shinra sort of has sort of that devil silhouette to him, it's really cool. But yeah, episode was amazing. It was so messed up, but it was great. I think Rek is an amazing villain. And as far as other characters go, I love Kareem. I love Hinawa and Hibana. And I really like Shinra and Arthur too. So yeah, Tamaki's still annoying, still kind of a trash person, but episode, I'd give it 9.5 Evangelists out of 10. It was so good. It was probably the best episode so far. Like, to have all this sort of explanation and stuff to increase the lore, but also to make total sense in terms of the way the story's being told, is so good. And then they kind of continue and push further some character storylines, set up a really cool villain, and have so much of the episode devoted to, I guess it really, in hindsight, wasn't that much of the episode, but to still have a good few minutes devoted to just them being evil and despicable, to end it with them getting their face kicked into the ground. So good, so well paced, loved it. So yeah, I would say the only negative part of the whole thing is Tamaki's character not being very good. If she was a good character, man, this would have been perfect. So yeah, 9.5 out of 10. I loved it and hope you did too. But thank you for watching the video. Like if you did like the video. Comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode and what you thought of my thoughts on it and all that. Subscribe for more. Fire Force much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel or talk to you there. If you want a link to the Discord server to talk to me or more of us about anything there, then just ask and I can give you a link. And if you'd like to help support the channel and keep it going on Patreon, then a link to that will be in the description. But either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.